whole. But this I want to make it uh, easier for people to see and maybe ask some questions too. Then we can go deeper. But it should be something simple, right? So this relationship with the sun is fundamental for all of us. We know about it, uh, but it's kind of we forget. I think we kind of take it for granted. Even if you talk about medically, we all know we need exposure so that we'll get not only the diurnal circles, diurnal circadian rhythms in us, the melatonin secretion, and also we need vitamin D, and we need the exposure to make our skin really glow. There was a paper I always quote that was written some thousands of years ago. They kind of give you 8 principles that you could do that will um, give you the uh, principles that can keep your body immunologically very, very strong, right? And also very healthy. So, ancient wellness tips you could say that. One of them is go out and expose your skin to the sun, right? Uh, I myself always feel very well when I'm out in the sun, at least in the morning and in the evening, right? So I love it. So apart from that, the ancients really worshipped sun as the giver of life, and obviously that is true, right? And they had this salutations, sun salutations in the morning, and you can do it like a aerobic exercise, which is one of the best aerobic exercises because it involves spine flexing back and forth, back and front, right? So it's like a flexion and extension of the spine happens, which is very good for you to wake you up in the morning, you know. And also, the stronger your spine, the better the whole thing is, right? I really taught so many students of this sun salutations, and actually, it takes only 1 minute to do 12 asanas in a row, and that becomes sun salutations, right? But then they do that kind of one whole sun salutation, which involves 12 asanas, like 108 times. So you can see how strong they could be. The other day, one girl was doing in a lotus ashram in Texas, and she was doing 108 without taking a break. But you got to start very slowly, one at a time. It involves first acknowledging the divinity of the life-giving sun, and you kind of proceed, and then you kind of get up into up and down movements, right? So I have done this several times, so it should be available on the Instagram. There are some meanings also associated with it, and there are mantras and all, but that's not esoteric maybe. But generally, sun salutations are accepted. Um, you know, better yoga exercise, which are very aerobic. There's a form which is called advanced sun salutation that also you can try. But I show it to my students in the wellness club. So seeking sunshine is fundamental, and in some conditions where seasonal affective disorder like a depression in some winter belt in United States, like I'm in the Iowa too, we have long winter nights that are dark. So people are not exposed to fluorescent light or something bright. They go into this depression spells. So that's why we kind of make them, because the sun is not seen, right? We kind of make them sit in front of the uh, fluorescent light for hours together. Okay, so it's that important that we have to expose ourselves to sunshine. Obviously, everybody knows the melatonin, when it's dark, it's going to secrete, and then sun is intimately connected with that, and that regulates our sleep cycle. So everybody knows about that. All in all, sunshine is very important to us, fundamental to us. It gives us food, it gives us vitamin D, it gives us vigor, and it gives our skin really exposed to that will be very good for us in terms of making that vitamin D. And also it controls the melatonin, and which is very important for us. Okay. So that's we can go a lot on this, but I would like to see whether anybody has anything to say at this juncture. Uh, Otherwise, the the way they were worshipping sun in the morning was like uh, really directly you can see the life giver, which is sun to us, and you can have reverence to that, and then you can really uh, make sure that we are really recognizing that divinity giving our life and be grateful. And also, what we did with the sun, the rays that were coming were protected by our ozone layer, the protective layers, right? Ultraviolet light was filtered and all. But then, because we became such a rampant consumer and produced a lot of carbon, dioxide, which is really causing our global heat, and we are paying price for that. There are solutions that we could do even now. First of all, try to limit the carbon print. That's so many things everybody knows about that. Not use plastic, recycle, and pave the roads say white, and plant the roof gardens. So many things we can easily do, and people are working on that for the earth shot. There were so many millions of dollars were set for people to really get us out of this global heat that is going on. So technical people, scientific people, so many ecologists, so many people are working on this to make sure that the life giver is not really punishing us. They were 55 degrees, 122 in some parts of the world last week. That is inhuman. And we also need to know what we should do to handle that kind of heat if it should come to us and we're caught in that. A lot of it is what kind of hydration you have, what kind of shelters you have, what kind of plantation you have around you, and what kind of white surfaces you have around you. All these commonsensical things so we'll probably very soon adopt on a massive, massive scale. That way, we have some countermeasures to this extreme heat, right? Exposing yourself to the sunshine in normal temperature is okay, but if it is really hot, then you go to heat stroke, heat exhaustion. We used to treat occasionally when the marathons and some events, sports events are happening. We used to get the patients in New York City, in Chicago, and all that. But now this is a regular threat to elderly, especially elderly people who have some yard work, something that they want to do outdoor. We specifically want them, don't go and expose yourself in that. And also, don't work there. Even if you work, take 10 minutes break, take some water, and eat some food that have water in it, all that. Okay. But all in all, sunshine, we can enjoy it, but also we can take some measures to make sure this extreme heat is not killing us. It is at that stage now, right? So I think we all know about it, but we should be more conscious about how we are dealing with this extreme heat. Not only working on the long run about preventive measures, but also immediately what we should protect. If you are really heat exhausted, heat stroke, then your mind is going to be affected too. It's a pretty dangerous thing, right? People will die, or if they don't die, they can have a lot of damage to their system. So we have to be very careful. I will do another talk where we can discuss a lot of measures of how to deal with this extreme heat in our own perspective. But then we can also participate in protecting the earth and everybody else too. But generally, as a yogas people, they always love to be under the sun or under the shade of the tree. So under the tree, there's a lot of moisture produced and then a lot of oxygen that is there. So it is much better to stay in the under the tree with the natural shade if the temperature is not too high than staying in the air conditioner. That's another thing too. I observed in India, my cardiology chief, he used to stay all the time in the air conditioner, but many people did not have air conditioner at the time, right? So we were exposed to normal sun, which is a heat, and then we were going into the hospital where it may be air conditioned briefly, and then we are most of the time we are outward. You know what? We were able to develop this adjustment to the sun much more than the people who were in the air conditioner all the time. So that's another thing you can practice is don't put on the air conditioner right away unless it is too high, but learn to acclimatize yourself to the sunshine. That's another tip too that a lot of people don't pay attention because they just simply allow themselves to be living in the air conditioner all the time and lose this capacity to acclimatize to the extreme heat anywhere, right? So there are so many ways you can look at sunshine. It could be a giver of life. It could be giver of vitamin D, So let me say some, yeah, my friend Brian wants to come up. Hi, Brian.
Hi, Dr. Rao. It's been a while since I had a chance to say hello, and I just wanted to
Sure.
say hello to you. And sunshine you're right, it's so crucial.
Crucial.
We have to be aware of its effects on us.
Yeah.
And dehydrating and burning and other effects, but at the same time, like you're saying, if we get out, get outside, get acclimatized to
yes.
it,
Yeah.
We still have to take our precautions, but so much better than hiding inside in the air conditioning.
Yeah.
And this is going to sound strange for a minute, but here on the farm, we don't, in the winter, we don't put chicken, we don't put a heater in chicken coop. Okay. And the reason we don't put a heater in the chicken coop is if we did that, what happens when the power goes on?
Yeah.
The chickens are no longer acclimatized. They haven't learned to deal with the cold. They freeze.
Yes.
One night, they're gone. So if we all stay inside and hide in the air conditioning, and the power goes off, what happens?
Yeah.
Right? We may not freeze, but we may not like the effects either.
Yeah. And, that's much more common, power outages in India when I was growing up, all the time, power outage. Right. Yeah.
I remember hearing about that. Like our pastured animals, our livestock, our pastured pork, our pastured poultry. When animals are out in the sunshine, they're getting that vitamin D. They're getting nutrients, and they're getting what they wouldn't get if they were, say, on a factory farm in a cage in a closed building.
Yeah, that's true.
And so it becomes so much healthier as far as consuming that type of food because of the sunshine.
Some places are getting so hot, these animals are also getting affected. They're dying.
Heat stress.
Yeah.
And thankfully, in 4 years, we've only had that happen one day, and we were able to get on top of it, get them hydrated, and get them over the problem within 24 hours.
Yeah.
And it was only 1 or 2 of the pigs. You may know pigs don't sweat, so you have to keep them watered. You have to keep them cool.
Yeah.
So that's what happened there.
No, that's the same with our fatty people, obese people. They can breathe very well because of that. So it is that's a thing that we got to know what kind of body shape we have. We could have ectomorphic, which is lean muscle mass, like, or mesomorphic, like they are not completely obese, completely thin like that. But then endomorphic is the one that they accumulate a lot of fat, and they have real trouble during the summer, which is very hot and all that. So it is better to keep a water bottle with you and make sure measure it and then consume it sip by sip. And if you drink too much water is a problem. If you don't drink enough water is a problem. See, dehydration, overhydration, both are problems. The better thing would be kind of assess the temperature, atmosphere, whether you are sweating body or not. So many factors go into that. What kind of exertion you have, what kind of underlying disorders you have. All those things are important, right? Usually we put out a bulletin, how do you do during the summer extremes, or if you are going for a sports activity where you are participating and running and all that, right? So my thing was, I used to recommend to elderly people, EPA used to put out a bulletin in the form of what is a red zone, green zone, and like that, right? Like terrorists, we used to warn them like that. Environment epa.gov/aid now issues a warning in your neighborhood. If you just put the pin code, they will tell you how is the weather in your neighborhood. Can you go out and work or not? I used to give this to people with heart failure, people with asthma, people with COPD, any respiratory disorders, metabolic disorders like diabetes and etc. And people have to check that website and then know what kind of warning government has put out. They spend a lot of money on that, and then be ready to read them and then follow them. That way, a lot of people are out of trouble. Otherwise, elderly people don't notice that they had dehydration. You have to check their armpits. You have to really ask them whether they feel thirsty, and tongue also you have to check. It's a different way, the dehydration in the elderly people. So we used to give specific guidelines for them too. So go and have sunshine, especially during the dawn hours and dusk hours. But if you are exposing yourself to the noon time or when it is very high temperature, and that's the problem. Okay, and also what kind of part of world you are. If you are, in India, there's something different. In Canada, something different, and in West Indies, that is something different. Like that, each region differs, and you got to go by that too. So it's a kind of, most of them are commonsensical, but I have seen many people kind of forgot or kind of slipped their mind because they're occupied with their work, whatever reason is. We felt it is our duty to make sure our patient population know what's going on. But now these things have changed a lot because of the extreme temperatures we are seeing in certain parts of the world. So we kind of talk to people. For example, in India, I daily talk to people in India, right? And they were asking me, here in Delhi, 122, and we are not having enough water, and we're having really problems, Then I will have to help them how to notice heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and just plain dehydration and all that. One common sensical thing I always recommend is eat fruits that have water in it. You know, like a coconut water, that's wonderful. Like watermelon and so many fruits that have water stored in them. Plants do a very good job of gathering all the nutrients, all the electrolytes, and then store in their water. And you that's like a nature's gift to you, and you can enjoy that, and that is a thirst quencher. Mm, all these protein drinks, caffeinated drinks, I would rather advise people to stay away from them. Rather, drink plain water, or maybe something like a lemonade, or something like a fruit juice if you are not a diabetic. And then if you are a diabetic, you can eat whole orange with all the white and everything, and that's a wonderful thing. But if you take a juice and drink the as a diabetic, your glycemic index is very high of these foods, and the blood sugar will go up very quickly in your bloodstream. So don't do that. Okay, but who are not diabetic, who are really young and all that, they can safely drink the fruit juices, that has some fiber in it, that has some protein in it, and then that will be wonderful for you. But generally, go for the fruits and vegetables that have a lot of water in it, and if you use them, that will be much better. About how much water you want to drink, you got to take into account maybe so many glasses of water, but it is not the so many glasses. It is a appropriate amount for your body, for your environment, for your workload, how what you are doing, and all that. And also which part of the world are you living in. If you combine all these things, then sunshine is actually a blessing. We might have messed it up, but then that will be good. As a yoga person, practitioner, I would recommend you do the sun salutations in the morning, or at the end of the day. Either way, it will be good. There are so many varieties. There are sun salutations, there are moon salutations, there are vinyasas. So many different things are there. But essentially, it's a excellent form of aerobic exercise, and you will have very firm cervical spine, very firm lumbar spine, and also the energy will be boosted. It has got a lot of benefits in it. And then go and walk a little bit, at least just expose yourself with of course sun protection, and then understand you can really burn if you don't have melanin in your skin. If you expose your sun to the sunshine to your skin, then it will burn. Okay, one of my medical assistants, she's a white girl, so she went and spent one day on the beach on the weekend. When she came out, she was totally burnt. So I had to hospitalize her and treat her. So don't overdo that, and also you get to know the how much percentage of that you want to have in your skills. And I think everybody knows this now. Otherwise, sunshine should be something we are relating to the life giver of ours, and also we are kind of helping ourselves to be soaked in it. That will help us in the long term. Okay, anybody else has any comments or questions or contribution? If you want to, you could come up. And then these wellness tips are going to go up until I reach 60. I kind of made the list ahead, and then I kind of bring it according to the day. And it's only leading into something more awareness, more discussion on the topic. And a lot of wellness coaches are operating in this app, and I come and participate with them sometimes. I think they are doing very good job. So they're exploring each topic at length, which is good. But if I go too deep, then people will be burdened probably. That's why I chose this simple process of exploring one tip a day, and also let it be something take home points, and they can use them in their life. Okay. Hopefully you like this format, and if you have any questions, like always, you can always DM me, and I'll be able to answer back. And I'm on LinkedIn also, so you can always talk to me about that. So that paper I was talking about, I'll tell you a little bit about that, and maybe you could use that to improve your general health and immunity too. This paper was, I don't know how true it was, but they said 18,000 years ago. So India has a liberal with those kind of, but it is a very, very, very ancient paper. In that paper, it was written in that Sanskrit. It says, first, you should be sleeping on positive thoughts and have a good sleep. That's number one. Okay. And then when you get up in the morning, uh, don't be lazy. That itself is a pointer to see if you are lazy, you are not going to protect your health. But if you are not lazy, then you will get up and say you had a good rest, and then get up and then just walk and get out of the bedroom, right? So number one is having a good sleep. Number two is absence of laziness. Then you're going to go to the bathroom, have a easy bowel movement. That's a very, if you are having easy bowel movement every day, a lot of your health is protected. That's the indication, right? That is the third indication. And then when you get out of the bathroom, go and check your weight, because maintaining your weight in the normal range, everybody has a range. Medically, how we determine it is 5 foot, we say 100 pounds, and then every inch later 5 pounds added. Suppose you are 5'2", you will be between 105 to 115 in the range, being 110 your ideal height. So maintain that. That's another one. And then take a walk and expose you. That's another one. Take a walk and expose yourself to the sun. That's another one. And then having cultivated an appetite or worked up an appetite, that's another one. Good indication is that you are having a good appetite in the breakfast time. And then have a very heavy, all included, all sorts of food group, like you have the carbs, you have the protein, you have the fats, and all that. But in yoga and Ayurveda way, you have all the three types of energies mixed together in that way, and then you have to nourish, really nourish your body, but also mind, but also you got to really enjoy the meal, eat slowly, and then get going on the job, right? Then allow sunshine come into your house through so many ways. Big windows, and open the windows if you could. All those things are mandatory. So these 8, sleep, absence of laziness, easy bowel movement, normal weight, and exposing the skin to the sun, and walking, and cultivating an appetite, and then having a breakfast. These 8, if you can do every day, probably your health will be protected. How we kind of mess up with the simple things are, we have late nights, and we kind of change our body's rhythm. Suppose you are a morning person, and if you wake up way beyond midnight, then that will affect your sleeping cycle, and that's not good for you at all, right? But it is happening quite frequently with the kids, and which is not good at all. Okay, there are energies if you wake up in the morning, right? Then absence of laziness, that's a big deal now, because creature comforts make us feel like that laziness is good for us. But in the long run, aging is associated with that laziness. Okay, so creature comforts are frowned on, especially if you are living a holistic life, right? Then, of course, a lot of people don't have easy bowel movement because they don't consume enough fiber, enough water, they don't move enough, and also they kind of eat foods that are constipating. So all that has to be looked at. And then there are weight problem. Obviously, everybody really worried about the weight, either gaining weight or too thin. So see, all these problems are there reflecting in major chronic diseases too, right? And many people don't walk; they get a vehicle for even small area. Also, they want to go in car. And if the weather is like that, I see snowy, I can understand. But if it is good, if it is sunshine is there, I think we prefer to walk, right? Many people. And then really covering all over the body and not expose the skin to the sun is not good. So if you are a male, you can really topless and go. If you are a female, you can really expose major parts of the body, covering the important parts. And that is also very nicely done these days. But you have to do it every day, not once in a weekend and all that. And then if you can cultivate a good appetite, either by really doing some vigorous exercise, sun salutations will be very good, or by taking some herbal teas that will stimulate your appetite. My herbal tea is very simple: hot water, ginger, couple of pieces, and lemon and honey. And that's very simple for me, and I do that. The ginger is a very effective astringent. It kind of stimulates your appetite. And then give importance to the breakfast very much. Heavy breakfast, light lunch, very light dinner. This is the formula not to put on weight, not to become obese. But what do? We hardly take any real good breakfast, and we may catch something, a small sandwich or something for the lunch, and then we come home famished, right? And then eat a big meal and then go to sleep. That is exactly the formula where all your fat that you accumulated during the sleep is going to go into your fat pockets. Okay, so remember that formula: heavy breakfast, light lunch, very light dinner, in between healthy snacks, and hydrate yourself. If you can do this and exercise, I think lots of times you'll be vigorous and you'll maintain longevity in a wellness way. Okay. All right. I think I did tell you what I wanted to say, but if you are going to ask me any questions, I'll proceed this further. Otherwise, I'll take leave, and I'll see you back again tomorrow with another tip on the wellness upper day 60 days. Okay. Thank you.